Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to dive into a paper on vehicle chassis control. What we are seeing right now is the vehicle drifting. Note that the rear wheels are constantly losing traction. For normal drive conditions, a vehicle spin is obviously undesirable. So why does a spin occur? And how do we solve this problem from an engineering perspective? The paper we are discussing today introduces a method to prevent vehicle spin by transferring the control workload between the front and the rear axles. At the same time, this method allows us to tune the vehicle's handling characteristics, whether you want a sporty response or a more stable ride. You can get the simulation app shown in this video and find the link to this algorithm in the video description below. First, let's address the fundamental question. Why does the vehicle spin? To understand this, we need to understand a core concept, the friction circle. Next, let's explain the concept of the friction circle. This is a top-down view of a tire. During cornering, the tire is subjected to a longitudinal force, Fx, and a lateral force, Fy. The resultant force of these two is F. The limit of F depends on the maximum friction the tire can provide, which is calculated as mu times W. Here, mu is the coefficient of friction between the tire and the load, and W is the vertical load on the tire. We can visualize this limit as the circle surrounding the tire. The radius of this circle is mu W. This is what we call the friction circle. If W decreases, meaning the vertical load on the tire drops, the circle shrinks. Consequently, the maximum total force F decreases, reducing the valuable force for both longitudinal and the lateral grip. To help you better understand the friction circle, let's watch some real-world footage. This is onboard footage of Honda Civic Type R at the Nürburgring. Pay attention to the four circles displayed in the center of the screen. These represent the friction circles for each of the four tires. As the vehicle brakes, load transfers from the rear axle to the front axle. Clearly, the front tire's friction circles expand, while the rear ones shrink. If we maintain the demand for braking force on the rear tires, their capacity to provide lateral force decreases. If the tire's friction is entirely consumed by braking, the valuable lateral force becomes zero. At this point, the vehicle will lose traction and slide. Now that we understand the principle of the friction circle, I will explain how this paper leverages load transfer to solve the problem of vehicle spin. Here is a top-down view of the vehicle. The front axle lateral force is Fyf, and the rear is Fyr. When braking occurs, the rear lateral force Fyr approaches zero. This creates a counterclockwise torque M, which in turn generates yaw. A spin is essentially an extreme case of yaw. In engineering, controlling the change in yaw is called DYC, Direct Yaw Control. The logic behind the DYC is very simple. Generate a counter torque M to neutralize the unwanted yaw. But how do we generate this counter torque? There are many methods in industry, such as four-wheel steering. However, in this paper, it proposes a novel concept, realizing DYC by transferring the potential of the front axle to the rear. Here is a top-down view again. Since the front tires have large friction circles, we can utilize their surplus potential. We apply a forward longitudinal force Fx to the front right wheel and a Fx of equal magnitude but opposite direction to the front left wheel. This generates a counterclockwise torque M. Let's look at the top wheel again. This top M is equivalent to the front wheels experiencing a lateral force Fdyc and the rear wheels experiencing a lateral force Fdyc of equal magnitude but opposite direction. This is the paper's first innovation, achieving DYC by transferring the supply potential of the front wheels to the rear without adding any extra hardware. Next is the paper's second innovation, controlling the vehicle's handling characteristics by adjusting the position where the DYC force is applied. First, we need to build the 2 degree of freedom vehicle bicycle model. This is the rear wheel, the front wheel, the longitudinal axis, the steering angle delta, the front slip angle beta f, the rear slip angle beta r, and the vehicle slip angle at the center of mass beta. If you are not familiar with this model, please refer to my previous videos. Here is the front lateral force Ff and the applied control force Fdyc, the rear lateral force Fr and the applied lateral force Fdyc acting in the opposite direction. The DYC can act at any location along the longitudinal axis, for example, right here or at the center of mass, or in front of the center of mass. Assume it acts at a distance x from the rear axle. The distance to the front axle is then L minus x. At the location where the DYC force acts, the slip angle beta x equals 0. This point is crucial. Next, let's build the equations. First, for the front axle, mf times v times r plus beta f dot equals ff plus fdyc. Here, v times r plus beta f dot is lateral acceleration. R is yaw rate. Beta f equals beta x plus L minus x over v times r. And ff equals 2 times kf times beta f minus delta. Here kf is tire stiffness. For the rear axle, mr times v times r plus beta r dot equals fr minus fdyc. Beta r equals beta x minus x over v times r. Fr equals minus 2 times kr times beta r. Iz times r dot. Iz is yaw inertia equals ff plus fdyc times lf minus fr minus fdyc times lr. Combine these equations, including beta x equals 0. We can use AI to generate yaw rate gain, bold plot. This is the app that generates the bold plot for the vehicle's yaw rate gain, based on the formula we just derived. On the left, we have basic vehicle parameters. These include mass, velocity, wheelbase, the distance from the rear axle to the center of gravity, and the cornering stiffness of front and rear tires. Under control tuning, we have the value of x. You can adjust this freely. 0 represents the position at the rear axle. Slide it. And 1.25 represents the position at the center of gravity. In the middle, we see the bold plot generated based on the position of x. As x moves from the rear axle toward the center of gravity, the system's yaw rate gain increases continuously. When x is at the center of gravity, the yaw rate gain reaches its maximum. Furthermore, the phase becomes a straight line and the response time is 0. This means as soon as you steer, the vehicle generates yaw immediately with absolutely no delay. The vehicle's response is maximized, but it's not user-friendly. From input to output, human perception requires a system to have a certain amount of delay. So, we can draw the first conclusion. The closer the DYC action point is to the center of gravity, the faster the vehicle responds. When the position of x goes beyond the center of gravity, for example at 1.35, the system's phase becomes extremely unstable, and the response time becomes negative. This is definitely unacceptable. Therefore, the second conclusion, when the DYC action point exceeds the center of gravity, the vehicle becomes unstable. Here is a link to the app, right below the video. If you need the code, please leave a comment in the section below. Finally, let's summarize the main content of this paper. First, DYC control solves the vehicle spin problem by transferring the potential from the front wheels to the rear wheels. Currently, The industry implements DYC by adding extra hardware, such as four-wheel steering. However, the method in this paper has no extra cost and is extremely efficient. Second, it can tune the handling style. Usually, a vehicle's sportiness and comfort characteristics conflict with each other. But the DYC control method in this paper allow us to achieve both very well. I encourage everyone to read this paper. The author and title are listed below the video. I'm Kevin. See you next time.